Hi there. I am absolutely delighted to be speaking at the ITT Future You conference. I'm incredibly passionate about the travel industry, and it's an industry that I've personally spent, 25 years plus of my career in. So, I think that in itself is kind of testament as to what a brilliant industry it is. And, whether that's in the UK or the global opportunities, remember that travel and tourism accounts for 10% of global GDP. So it's a massive, massive industry. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jeannette Linfoot. And as I say, I've spent 25 years in this amazing industry. I've been very, very privileged. I've done some amazing things, and I'm incredibly passionate about travel and tourism. And I think the fact that I've spent so long in the industry, it kind of speaks for itself really, but it also demonstrates three main things to me. So the first one is that it is a fabulous industry. The people that you meet, the relationships that you will build through your career will be truly phenomenal. And that is something which has stayed with me for life. And those relationships, whether it's in the business sense or more of a personal basis, you will forge those relationships and they will stay with you. And certainly in my example, I have made some of my best friends through being in the industry for so long. So that is a massive, massive testament to the strength and the passion. You meet people who are really energized, they're positive, they've got a can-do attitude, and even when times are tough, that resilience of spirit and being able to have fun along the way as well as working hard is something that is incredibly unique, I think, to travel and tourism. The second thing that stands out for me is just the variety of roles and opportunities available. And this is great for you because starting out in your career at this stage, there's so much that you could do. You could choose so many different directions in the industry, and that is amazing, I think. Whether you're talking about working for one of the larger corporate travel businesses, or if you're indeed thinking more about going into an entrepreneurial startup business, or even starting your own thing, there's so much you can do. And that diversity of area, if you think anything from marketing, sales, finance, commercial, product, where I spent a lot of my early career, operational, there's so much to choose from that there really is something for everyone. And the third thing really that stands out for me as well, that it's constantly changing. The industry, never one year is the same, no trading period is the same. You've got such variety in the destinations that you send people to, you do business in, the different type of customers that you have. There is just so much change and constant things to inspire you with, really. And what I would say is that resilience that builds by having to be flexible and creative and deal with the tough times as well as the good times makes you an incredibly strong business person, and those skills will stay with you for life. So those are three great reasons why I think I've stayed in the industry so long, why I love it so much, and why it's so important to me. So what I'm going to do over the next 10 minutes or so is just share with you a bit of my journey, really. And I hope from that you'll get some ideas, a bit of inspiration. I haven't had, not everything always goes right. I've not had success after success after success, but I have definitely had an amazing career that I feel very grateful for. And even when things don't always go your way, it's how you deal with that that's important. So I feel very lucky and privileged to have had the career that I've had. So, you might be thinking actually at the moment, oh my gosh, the industry is going through a very difficult time. Have I made the right choice? Is this the sector for me? Will it come back? And of course, we cannot deny that it's a difficult time for the industry. And it's one of the industries that's been hit most hard through all of the COVID situation and lockdown. But you know what? It will come back. It is a resilient sector. Of course, there's going going to be change, you know, and there's going to be, unfortunately, some businesses that don't make it through this period. But despite all of that, you know, the industry is fantastic, and the long-term future for it will be very positive. I will always try and see the positive in life, and out of adversity, opportunities do come. So, you know, if you're having any of those doubts, please don't, you know, just really keep focused on what it is you want to achieve. So my story then, well, as you can probably tell from my dulcet tones, I am a Manchester girl, born and bred. So I was the youngest of three daughters, growing up in Stretford, which, if most of you don't know Manchester, Stretford isn't exactly the most salubrious part of town, but nonetheless, I was brought up in a house full of love. My parents were amazing, but I was the only one in my family to go to university at the time. And I felt very privileged and honoured for that, because we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and it was a financial struggle. You know, you didn't have grants, and you didn't have loans, and etc. So it wasn't always that easy. But anyway, so I went off to university, and I studied an economics degree at Leeds. Which was fantastic. And I would definitely say that, you know, the core values of working hard, but playing hard and enjoying life as well, I put them to full use when I was at Leeds. And I was delighted. I came out with a first class honours degree. So really pleased with that. But when I graduated in 93, so I'm going back a fair bit, it was a recession. So it wasn't massively dissimilar to now, actually. It was quite tough. So I'd got my degree. I was very proud of that, and really, really put all the effort in, and it paid off. And I was incredibly pleased with my parents, because I really felt I'd made them proud. And then here I am. I go back to Manchester, and I start applying for jobs. And of course, I was applying for hundreds and hundreds of jobs. I can't tell you. And I was getting knockback after knockback. There just weren't the opportunities because of the economic situation, you know. So way back then, I mean, you do what you have to do in a situation like that. So I remember holding down 4 different jobs. You know, I used to be a waitress at Old Trafford Cricket Ground. I delivered the post at Kellogg's in the offices. I did waitressing and bar work in a local restaurant. And, you know, I remember, you know, cleaning tables in Debenhams, you know, because that's what I needed to do to kind of survive really, and bring some money in. So it wasn't an easy start, especially given that I'd got a really great degree. But nonetheless, you know, you keep going is one of the key messages that I have for you, really. So, you know, at that point, I eventually did get a first proper job, but it was in London. And I was a typical northerner, and said, oh, you know, I'll go for 2 to 3 years. And then 25 years later, I'm kind of still here. So I love living in London, but I also very proud of my working class roots in Manchester, and all my family's there. So I go back a lot. So essentially, I started life as a government economist in Whitehall. And I did that for a couple of years, and it was a great start, actually. But nonetheless, I kind of knew that it wasn't the route I wanted to go down. I guess the grey suits and cardigans of the civil service weren't for me. So at that point, I jumped into travel. And I had still been receiving all of the careers material that used to get sent over to you from Leeds University. And I got the graduate opportunities through, and one of them was through a graduate scheme at Thomson. And I had actually applied to that scheme when I was at uni, and I never got accepted. So maybe I was just incredibly stubborn and thought, bloody hell, I'm going to have another go. So anyway, I actually started at Thomson. I was on the graduate scheme for a couple of years, and that was a great opportunity to learn, really, because you got to spend time across all of the businesses. And I was there for about 7 years. I was very lucky. I had a number of promotions. I learned from the best in travel, you know. So I remember working for David Burling and for Colin Mitchell, God rest his soul. So some real icons in the travel industry that I worked for. Charles Garassa was there at the time as well, Richard Bowden Doyle. So some amazing people that I was privileged to work with and learn from. And then I kind of got itchy feet, really. I was about 7 years in. And at this point, I was general manager for the long haul business unit. So it was as close to having a P&L as possible. But I just had this sense that I needed to move, because I loved it so much. I could have stayed there forever. But I had itchy feet. So anyway, I had the opportunity then to go over to Barcelona. for a year to sort out 3 travel businesses that TUI had, which were struggling and problematic. So I went over there, sorted them out, lived in Barcelona, had a great time, worked incredibly hard again to get these businesses back into shape. And then I came back to the UK and actually started at Thomas Cook as head of product, which again was a great role. And I actually got put forward for an industry award. It was a travel industry Hall of Fame Young Businesswoman of the Year. So I like the young bit. Anyway, I got the award and it was a tough process. So I was delighted to have received that award. And then what happened was, as soon as I actually got that, I then got headhunted by First Choice to join them as product director. So this was a board position. It was a bigger role. So I joined First Choice. And at the time, First Choice were number 4 in the market. So they weren't the market leader, but they were doing some really great things. And I really liked the culture. And I think that's an important lesson, isn't it? You know, find a place where you feel like you belong and that you're with like-minded people. So I joined First Choice and that was great. Then a few years later, First Choice merged with the tourism division of TUI AG. And again, I'd been sort of doing product commercial side of the business for most of my career, which I loved. But I knew I wanted to become a CEO. I knew I wanted to run the business. So again, I thought, well, I can carry on doing what I'm doing, or actually maybe I need to make another change. So at that point, I then got approached by Richard Prosser, who was my old boss, to see if I would like to go to Russia to lead the businesses in Russia. And TUI had made a big strategic decision to invest in the emerging markets. So that was really scary. It was buying 3 businesses. It was deciding strategically what we do with those businesses, the whole rebrand, obviously in a different country, different language, different business skills, etc. So fantastic. And then I got promoted to be managing director of the emerging markets. So then I was doing quite big deals, mergers and acquisitions in China, India. Some of those were to the value of 600 million quid. And at that point, I was reporting into the group's CEO, Peter Long, which was a fantastic experience again. And then TUI merged with the parent company, TUI AG. And at that point, I'd been approached by Saga to go and become CEO of their travel division, which was 4 really interesting businesses, about 370 million turnover, 1,700 people on my team. And it was a great opportunity to kind of turn those businesses around, really, and to double the profit in the time I was there. And then this kind of brings us up to date, because then I decided actually what I really wanted to do at this stage of my career, in my mid-40s, was to be my own boss. So I jumped out of the corporate world into the entrepreneurial world, and this is where I am now. So I have 3 businesses. One is my advisory business, where I work with private equity and corporate clients on mergers and acquisitions and strategy. So I help them with deals and get them over the line, advise them on that. I also have my mentoring business, where I help other people achieve their full potential, which I really love. And then I have a property investment business with my partner, Chris, where we invest in properties in Manchester. So a portfolio of businesses. I'm also on the board of the Founders Factory, the travel advisory board. I'm a judge for Every Woman in Travel, because I'm a real passionate advocate for diversity. You know, very often in my career, I've been the only woman in the boardroom, or one of 2 maybe. So it's something I feel passionate about. So I'm really pleased to be part of Every Woman. And then I'm also just about to launch my own podcast, which is the Brave, Bold, Brilliant podcast, where I will be interviewing inspiring people across different sectors, but travel will be a core part of that, about how they have fulfilled their potential by being brave, bold and brilliant. So that's been my journey, a quick canter through. What I would say to you, you know, as you're thinking about your career at this stage, I think there are 7 pieces of advice I would give you. The first one is believe in yourself. You know, you absolutely can achieve anything you want in life. You all have greatness in you. So don't ever think you can't do something. The second thing I would say is follow your dreams. You know what you want to achieve. What's your purpose? Where are you trying to get? And focus on that, because you will get there as long as you don't get distracted. The third piece of advice I would give you is surround yourself with the right people, people that will lift you up, people that will encourage you, support you. That could be coaches, mentors, colleagues, bosses, but really make sure you're spending time with the right people that are going to encourage you, but also give you a bit of a kick and a push if you're not necessarily doing what you should be doing. The fourth thing is, I would say, work hard. You know, no one gives you anything for anything for free in this life. And that's certainly something that my parents told me, and that stayed with me my whole time. So you have to put the effort in. You really do. The fifth piece of advice I would say is put yourself out there. Get out there having conversations, network. You never know where those conversations might lead. And always trying to think about, you know, what can you do to help the other person? Build those relationships. The sixth thing I would say is follow a passion. Love what you do. Life is too short. The travel industry is such an amazing industry, and you can have fabulous experiences. And if you love what you do, then you never really work a day in your life. You know, you merge your passion with your profession, and I think travel can do that for you. And the absolute final piece of advice I would give you is don't be afraid to fail. You know, you can't always win, but don't be afraid to fail. And that was a quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it really resonates with me. You know, so you do need to be prepared to take chances. And through my career, I've taken lots of chances that have come up. And, you know, you never know where that might lead. When I went to Russia, China, India, I mean, you know, it was scary. And I thought, well, you know, I'll give it a go. I'll do my best I can. And you know what, never think of failure as failure. Think of it as learning, because you will learn something regardless of what the outcome is. So, you know, I hope that's been helpful. I hope it's given you some inspiration, some ideas about this amazing industry that we're in. It's an industry I'm passionate about, and I will always be heavily connected and involved in with the businesses that I have now. So the only last thing I would say to you is believe in yourself, push yourself out there, be authentically you, and just be brave, bold, and brilliant. Bye now.